Welcome. Today we're undertaking an exploration into a life that was, well, dramatically split in two. The remarkable trajectory of Grace Patricia Kelly.
It's a fascinating story. She begins her life embedded in this world of American achievement and, frankly, affluence.
And then vaults herself into the very rarefied air of Oscar-winning Hollywood celebrity.
Before making a choice that just completely rewrote the script, marrying into one of Europe's oldest sovereign houses.
It's a story of immense ambition, but also surprising lineage and just a profound transformation.
It really is. And our source material here, biographies, film studies, historical documents, it's extensive. It covers her life from those foundational years in Philadelphia right through her decades as Princess Consort of Monaco.
The wife of Prince Rainier III until her sudden passing in 1982.
So the mission for us and for you is to meticulously analyze this material. We need to distill the essence of her journey.
Right. The focus being on how this accomplished American woman managed to seamlessly inhabit two, radically different spheres of influence.
It really is the ultimate journey from a kind of American royalty, the royalty of celebrity and success, to actual European royalty.
And to truly understand Grace Kelly, you have to start at the source, her family roots in Philadelphia. Because the Kelly family was, well, they were far from your typical affluent society.
That's where the paradox begins. The wealth was built on, hard work and muscle. Her father, John B. Kelly Sr., he owned this enormously successful company, Kelly for Brickwork.
And that wasn't just some small local business.
Oh, no. It dominated the East Coast construction scene. So that provided the financial foundation, but the family's prestige was built on his sheer competitive drive.
And what a drive. We're talking about a man who defined physical excellence on a global scale.
Absolutely. John B. Kelly Sr. was an Olympic champion sculler.
He achieved 3 Olympic gold medals.
3 golds, yes. And that speaks volumes about the ethos of that household. It was demanding, competitive, and driven by visible, measurable success.
That expectation of achievement must have weighed heavily on his children.
Immensely. And his influence wasn't just limited to sports and business. He was politically active, too.
Right. In 1935, he ran as the Democratic nominee for mayor of Philadelphia.
And he lost by the closest margin in the city's history. That loss actually cemented his status as a major local power broker.
A power broker whose influence reached the very top of American politics.
It did. During World War II, President Franklin D. Roosevelt appointed him as the National Director of Physical Fitness.
So you have this monumental figure self-made, an athletic champion, a political operator, an industrialist, and he's setting the tone for Grace's entire early life.
It creates a tremendous pressure cooker.
Yeah.
Especially for a child who doesn't quite fit that mold.
But there's a twist in the family history that often gets overlooked, and it comes through her mother, Margaret Major.
This is where we uncover this fascinating, almost predestined link to Europe.
Margaret Major, Grace's mother, was an incredibly accomplished woman herself, German ancestry.
She taught physical education at the University of Pennsylvania, and actually she holds the distinction of being the first woman to coach women's athletics at Penn.
So she was already breaking barriers just more quietly in the academic and athletic world.
Exactly. But if you trace Grace's lineage through her mother's side, the sources reveal a connection stretching back to a Professor Johann Christian von Major,
who was a distinguished jurist and political scientist, elected rector of the University of Tübingen 5 times. This is a serious academic lineage.
It is. And this is the surprising nugget that provides real context. Because that lineage then connects her, however distantly, to established German noble families.
Specifically, it includes descent from the Stauffenberg family.
That's right. The name Stauffenberg is, of course, internationally known because of Klaus Schenk Graf von Stauffenberg,
the central figure in the attempted assassination of Adolf Hitler.
So here you have Grace Kelly, the daughter of a Philadelphia brick contractor who possesses this hidden thread of distant European nobility woven into her ancestry long before she ever set foot in Monaco.
It provides an incredible thematic resonance. Her American identity was all about this industrious, self-made success, but there was this subtle, aristocratic undercurrent already there.
And she grew up in this competitive, very strict Catholic environment in East Falls, in a home her father built the year she was born, 1929.
And despite that demanding atmosphere, her inclination toward performance started pretty early.
Very early. At just 12, she was already playing the lead role in a play called Don't Feed the Animals.
So that artistic pull was strong. By the time she graduated from the rigorous Stevens School in 1947, her yearbook prophecy was already predicting she would become a famous star of stage and screen.
But ambition met reality almost immediately. She faced an academic setback.
A rejection from Bennington College.
Right.
Primarily because of low scores in mathematics.
That initial rejection, though, it pales in comparison to the resistance she faced at home.
Yeah.
She chose acting, and the sources make it crystal clear that John B. Kelly Sr. was vehemently opposed.
He considered acting, especially for a woman, to be, and this is a quote, a slim cut above streetwalker.
Think about the tension that must have generated in that house. A father who defined respectability and success in these highly tangible, physical terms. Olympic medals, tons of brickwork.
And he's confronted with his daughter's desire to pursue a career that he saw as, well, morally dubious and financially precarious.
She was rebelling against the foundational values of the Kelly dynasty.
But she navigated that opposition with a characteristic blend of persistence and strategic maneuvering.
She was determined to attend the American Academy of Dramatic Arts in New York, and she knew exactly where to leverage her family's connections to overcome the odds.
And that connection was her uncle, George Kelly.
Her Pulitzer Prize-winning uncle, a major name in the American theater scene.
So she used a scene from one of his plays for her audition.
She did, The Torchbearers.
Yeah.
And despite the school already having met its admissions quota for the year, George Kelly's influence secured her a place at the Academy.
It's a perfect microcosm of her life, really. Personal drive coupled with these impeccable, though sometimes hidden connections paving the way.
Once in New York, however, it was pure, unglamorous dedication. And we're moving now into the period between 1949 and 1956, the 7 years that would ultimately define her Hollywood legacy.
She had to work constantly to overcome what she perceived as her own deficiencies.
She did. She practiced her speech diligently, using a tape recorder to smooth out her Philadelphia accent and improve his vocal projection. She knew that was a weakness, critics had pointed out.
And during this time, she lived in the famously chaperoned environment of the Barbizon Hotel for Women in Manhattan,
Which was a requirement set by her father.
This era is so fascinating because the image she cultivated later, the cool, elegant, untouchable icon, is in such stark contrast to the grueling, sometimes even humiliating work she did just to pay for her classes.
She's secured work as a model through the John Robert Powers Agency, and the sources list some wonderfully incongruous gigs.
Commercials for bug spray and cigarettes.
Imagine the future princess of Monaco promoting an insecticide. It just totally humanizes her early struggle.
But the stage work was building. Her Broadway debut was in August, Strindberg as the father, acting alongside the distinguished Raymond Massey.
And, perhaps prophetically, her graduation performance role was Tracy Lord in the Philadelphia Story.
She was setting herself up to return to that role, almost perfectly foreshadowing her future.
Her first official film appearance, though, was minor, a small role in 14 Hours in 1951.
And while the film wasn't a breakthrough for her, it's where she started earning a reputation. Her co-star, Paul Douglas, noted her professional ease,
praising her as cooperative and non-temperamental.
And though the critics didn't really notice her performance, the sheer volume of mail she received led to the creation of the Grace Kelly Fan Club,
which she reportedly found terrifically amusing.
What does it tell us that people were drawn to her before the critics even recognized her talent?
It suggests her innate screen presence, her aura of, breeding and class, was already apparent, even in a small role. Audiences were captivated by the image, even if the acting chops weren't yet fully honed.
And many critics at the time still felt she lacked the necessary vocal horsepower for a sustained stage career,
pushing her inexorably toward the, less vocally demanding medium of film.
And the major cinematic breakthrough came the following year, 1952. She was offered a key role in Fred Zinnemann's Western classic, High Noon,
opposite Gary Cooper. This was a pivotal moment.
She played Amy Fowler Kane, the young Quaker bride. It was a Western shot on an extremely tight 28-day schedule.
Under intense heat, yes. And while the film was monumental, her performance received pretty mixed reviews.
And this is where we introduce the man who would really define her screen image, Alfred Hitchcock,
who would later become her great collaborator and mentor. He famously described her performance in High Noon as
rather mousy.
It's a brutal comment, but it speaks to Hitchcock's specific vision for her. He saw the potential for sophistication and drama hidden beneath that mousy exterior.
It was actually John Ford who, after seeing her screen test, truly propelled her career.
He did. He praised her distinctive quality, breeding, quality, and class.
And that assessment led directly to a 7-year contract with MGM. This wasn't a huge signing bonus initially.
No, just $850 a week. Decent for the time, but certainly not superstar money. But she negotiated the deal with surprising assertiveness for a newcomer,
She showed this early self-awareness and really an understanding of work-life balance.
insisting on two specific conditions. First, she must be granted time off every other year to work in the theater.
And second, she insisted on maintaining her primary residence in New York City. She wasn't moving permanently to Hollywood.
She was not going to be completely consumed by the studio machine.
That contract immediately thrust her into the role that brought her international recognition, playing Linda Nordley in Mogambo in 1953.
She replaced Gene Tierney in that role, and her personal reasoning for taking it is just wonderfully practical.
She said, John Ford, Clark Gable, and a trip to Africa with expenses paid.
It's a pragmatic justification that just cuts right through all the Hollywood glamour. The role, opposite Gable and Ava Gardner, was a major opportunity.
She played the contemplative English wife, and the recognition was instant and substantial.
She won a Golden Globe for Best Supporting Actress and received her first Academy Award nomination.
The momentum was now unstoppable, and this brings us to the three films that really cemented her image forever. The collaboration with Alfred Hitchcock between 1954 and 1955.
Hitchcock was immediately captivated by her refined, cool facade. He recognized that her inherent elegance, her reserve, could be the perfect vessel for controlled panic or simmering psychological intensity.
She became the quintessential Hitchcock blonde.
The first collaboration was Dial M for Murder in 1954, based on the stage play. She played Margot Wendis, the wealthy wife of a retired tennis player who was plotting her murder.
This was where Hitchcock really taught her the crucial importance of subtle emotional containment.
He realized that the less she appeared to react externally, the more the audience would project that intensity onto her.
And then perhaps her most iconic film, Rear Window, that same year, co-starring James Stewart.
She played Lisa Fremont, the wealthy Manhattan socialite and fashion model.
And Lisa Fremont was a pivotal role because it was the first time Kelly played a definitive, independent career woman, someone who was defined not just by her beauty, but by her relentless pursuit of a successful cosmopolitan life.
And Hitchcock used her wardrobe, designed by the legendary Edith Head, as a crucial plot point and character device. Lisa Fremont famously never wore the same dress twice.
The visual language of the film relies on her elegance. You see her transform from these glamorous evening dresses to simple, casual jeans.
Symbolizing the various facets of her character, the socialite, the investigator, the lover. Critics praised the earthy quality she brought to the dynamic with James Stewart.
Contrasting her cool control with his, frenzied voyeurism.
Her third and final film with Hitchcock was To Catch a Thief in 1955, co-starring Cary Grant.
This film, set on the French Riviera, almost perfectly foreshadowed the life she was about to step into.
It really did. It defined the image of Kelly as the sophisticated, cool-headed temptress. Cary Grant, a man who worked with nearly every major actress of his era, called her his favorite co-star.
For her serenity.
But the height of her critical acclaim, the Academy Award, came from a completely different direction. From the dramatic role in The Country Girl in 1954.
And this was a battle for her to even get that role.
It was. She was lent out to Paramount, which was unusual for an MGM star, and the part Georgie Elgin, the long-suffering, emotionally exhausted wife of an alcoholic singer, played by Bing Crosby, was a radical departure from the glamorous Hitchcock roles.
But she recognized the artistic potential, and she really showed her steel.
She threatened MGM management, stating clearly that if they didn't allow her to do the film, she would, quote, pack her bags and leave for New York for good.
And that threat worked. She was awarded the role, and the decision paid off immediately.
The film was a critical success, and her performance was lauded for its complexity and emotional depth. The New York Times called her work excellent.
She ultimately won the Academy Award for Best Actress,
Famously defeating Judy Garland, who was nominated for A Star is Born. It was the ultimate validation that she wasn't just a glamorous muse, she was a serious, formidable actress.
After achieving the highest honor in her profession, she made her final film, and it was, fittingly, a return to her stage roots.
A musical remake of the Philadelphia story titled High Society in 1956.
In High Society, she played the socialite Tracy Lord, opposite Bing Crosby and Frank Sinatra.
It was a relaxed performance, almost a victory lap. By the time that film was released in July 1956, she had already been married for months.
Her Hollywood career was incredibly brief, only 7 years. But she had packed enough iconic work into that time to be later ranked 13th on the American Film Institute's 25 Greatest Female Stars list.
And this brings us to the royal transformation, a shift that wasn't merely a change of a dress, but a change of identity.
And the path began at the Cannes Film Festival in April 1955, where she was heading the U.S. delegation.
Yes, during a press event, she was invited to meet Prince Rainier III of Monaco at the Prince's Palace. That was on May 6, 1955.
And the sources described the courtship that followed as being rather calculated.
Lasting about a year and containing a good deal of rational appraisal on both sides. It wasn't just a whirlwind romance. It was a serious, deliberate union for both of them.
Right. For Rainier, he needed an air and stability for his microstate. For Grace, she was choosing a profound new role that satisfied a yearning for purpose beyond Hollywood.
They married on April 19, 1956, and the logistics of the event were governed by ancient Monegasque laws rooted in the Napoleonic Code and the requirements of the Catholic Church.
Which meant they had to have two distinct ceremonies.
The first, the civil ceremony, was brief, just 16 minutes, and held in the palace throne room on April 18, 1956. This was the moment she formally entered the Monegasque royal family.
And this is the detail that needs to be made tangible. Upon marrying, she formally acquired 142 titles.
142. These were the feminine counterparts of all her husband's inherited and acquired titles. While the primary title was Princess Consort of Monaco, it included Duchess of Valentinois, Countess of Polignac, Baroness of Beau, and so on.
It signified her complete absorption into the aristocratic structure of the Grimaldi family, linking her to centuries of European history.
And the religious ceremony held the following day at St. Nicholas Cathedral was the global event. This was the transition from private legality to public spectacle.
Biographer Robert Lacey famously described the wedding as the first modern event to generate media overkill.
The attention was unprecedented. It was estimated that over 30 million viewers across the globe watched the ceremony on television. This was before satellite technology was commonplace. It was a monumental feat of media coordination.
Cementing the wedding as the defining global fairy tale of the mid-20th century.
And central to that fairy tale image was the wedding attire. The legendary dress, designed by MGM's own Helen Rose, symbolized that transition from Hollywood talent to royalty.
It was an incredible feat of design and labor.
Requiring 6 full weeks of work by 36 dressmakers. It utilized 25 yards of silk taffeta, antique rose point lace, and pearls.
The design was conservative, elegant, and instantly iconic.
And after the nuptials, the couple immediately departed for a 7-week Mediterranean honeymoon cruise on Prince Rainier's yacht, the Dio Giovante II. The life of Grace Kelly, the Hollywood star, was definitively over.
And her focus immediately pivoted entirely to her new duties. Royal duties, motherhood, and extensive philanthropic work. She officially discontinued her acting career.
Family became central. She gave birth to 3 children, Princess Caroline in 1957, Prince Albert in 1958, who is the current heir, and Princess Stephanie in 1965.
It's important to note, though, that she never entirely abandoned her American identity. A surprising detail in the sources is that she maintained dual U.S. and Monegasque citizenship throughout her life.
That dual identity was actively celebrated in Monaco. She and Rainier held an annual American Week, and the palace celebrated American Thanksgiving every year. It acted as a bridge between the American celebrity culture she left and the European history she embraced.
But her main effort was directed toward humanitarian and arts activism, using her immense platform for good. She wasn't just lending her name to things.
No, she was dedicating her time and her energy. Her roles were far-reaching. She became president of the Red Cross of Monaco and also served as patron of Rainbow Coalition Children,
Which was an orphanage founded and run by the legendary entertainer Josephine Baker.
She also immersed herself in local culture, supporting the International Arts Foundation and the Garden Club of Monaco.
The sources single out one organization she founded, Amadi Mondial, in 1963. What was the origin and the core mission of that organization?
The creation of AMADA, the World Association of Children's Friends, was spurred by her profound concern after witnessing the plight of Vietnamese children. The organization's mission is highly focused to promote and protect the moral and physical integrity and the spiritual well-being of children throughout the world.
And this organization gained serious international traction. It wasn't just a local royal charity.
Correct. AMADA Mondial quickly gained consultative status within major international bodies like UNICEF and UNESCO, reflecting its global scope and seriousness of intent.
Wow.
Princess Grace used her celebrity and her title not just to raise funds, but to establish a credible, recognized voice for children's rights on the international stage.
She also used her status to advocate for public health in a very personal way, becoming an honorary member of La Leche League.
which was a mother-to-mother support group focused on breastfeeding. This was a surprisingly modern move for a royal figure in the 1960s.
She was known to have breastfed all three of her children.
And by lending her public support, she helped normalize and promote a critical maternal health practice. It connected her, the princess, to the deeply relatable experiences of mothers around the world.
She was also dedicated to cultivating the arts within Monaco itself. She established the Princess Grace Foundation in 1964 to support local artisans.
And she was instrumental in the cultural life of the principality by helping found the Princess Grace Academy in 1975, a crucial training institution for the Monte Carlo Ballet. Her influence fundamentally transformed Monaco from merely a gambling destination into a respected cultural center.
But despite the success and fulfillment she found in her royal and philanthropic roles, there were moments when the pull of her former life, the artistic life, resurfaced.
The tension between the actress and the princess was always there, and the most famous example is Alfred Hitchcock's offer in 1962 for her to star in Marnie.
The role was highly dramatic, a young, beautiful kleptomaniac. She was reportedly eager to take it, finding the complexity compelling.
But the reaction in Monaco was catastrophic. The public outcry was immediate and intense. The people of Monaco were resistant to the idea of their sovereign princess consort, a global symbol of elegance and purity, playing a criminal.
The pressure was so severe that she ultimately had to reject Hitchcock's offer,
which signified the definitive end of her cinematic career. Her duty to the Monegasque people had superseded her artistic desires.
And we see that conflict resurface years later in 1977 when director Herbert Ross wanted to cast her in The Turning Point.
But by this time, Prince Rainier himself just dismissed the idea outright.
She realized the conventional film screen was close to her. However, she found other creative avenues.
She returned to the arts through poetry readings and narrated the Academy Award-nominated documentary The Children of Theater Street in 1977.
And she also attempted a partial return to film, collaborating with Rainier. In 1979, they worked on a 33-minute independent film titled Rearranged.
This was an attempt to bridge the gap between her past and present. ABC TV executives showed interest in 1982, proposing to extend the short film into an hour-long special.
Tragically, her death prevented any further filming, and the film remains unreleased to this day.
Her creative pursuits also extended into published works that reflected her aesthetic sensibilities. In 1980, she published My Book of Flowers with Gwen Robbins.
This book detailed her deep interest in floral aesthetics, symbolism, and the art of flower pressing.
It demonstrated her commitment to the artistic and decorative aspects of life. And she monetized this aesthetic influence ethically, collaborating with the Spring-Made Company on a successful line of homewares titled GPK, and donating the substantial royalties, over $1 million, to her preferred charities.
Before discussing the final tragic chapter of her life, we have to acknowledge her singular status as a global style icon, an influence that permeates design and fashion even today.
She defined a specific type of elegant glamour, and the most famous artifact of that legacy is undoubtedly the Kelly bag.
It's a fascinating instance of a product being renamed purely due to celebrity association.
The purse was originally called the Hermès Sac à Dépêche, or dispatch bag. The pivotal moment occurred in 1956, when she was pregnant with Princess Caroline. Paparazzi were relentlessly pursuing photographs.
And she was frequently captured clutching this large, distinctive leather handbag in front of her abdomen,
which was likely just a functional, modest attempt to shield her pregnant belly from the intrusive lenses.
But the photographic association between Grace Kelly and that handbag was so powerful and so ubiquitous that it just skyrocketed the accessory's popularity.
And Hermes made the unprecedented decision to officially rename the bag the Kelly bag. It's a testament to the sheer magnitude of her influence.
Her style itself was consistently recognized. She was inaugurated into the International Best Dressed List Hall of Fame in 1960.
And notably, was named the Best Tailored Woman by the Custom Tailored Guild of America in 1955. Her look was defined by a classic, polished aesthetic.
The sources often cite the fresh-faced look, bright skin, natural beauty, minimal makeup, and the college girl everyday fashion.
Simple, tailored, and always perfectly pulled together.
Her influence spans generations. Designers like Tommy Hilfiger and Zac Posen cite her as a key inspiration.
And in popular culture, the fictional character Betty Draper from Mad Men is explicitly complimented within the show for resembling Grace Kelly. It demonstrates that her image remains shorthand for a particular brand of cool, reserved, mid-century elegance.
And that legacy is continuously celebrated. The Victoria and Albert Museum in London held the Grace Kelly Style Icon exhibit, featuring 50 of her iconic ensembles.
Including that breathtaking wedding dress. It speaks to a lasting influence that very few stars ever achieve. She represented an ideal of reserved perfection.
And it is that image, that life of elegance and accomplishment, that makes the circumstances of her death all the more shocking and profoundly tragic.
The incident occurred on September 13, 1982.
It was an unimaginable misfortune. Princess Grace was driving her 1972 Rover P6 3500 back to Monaco from the family's country home in Rock Aigle.
And while driving on a steep, winding stretch of road, she suffered a mild cerebral hemorrhage.
This medical emergency caused her to lose control of the vehicle. The car drove off the road and tumbled nearly 100 feet down the mountainside.
Her youngest daughter, Princess Stephanie, was in the passenger seat. She reportedly tried desperately but unsuccessfully to regain control of the vehicle. And we have to acknowledge the deep distress and trauma this event inflicted on the family.
Princess Grace was transported to the Monaco hospital, which was later renamed the Princess Grace Hospital Center. She had suffered severe injuries.
Trauma to the brain and thorax, as well as a fractured femur. And tragically, while hospitalized, she suffered a second, more severe cerebral hemorrhage.
She was declared brain dead.
And faced with a devastating prognosis and a complete lack of any reasonable chance of recovery, Prince Rainier made the agonizing decision to turn off her life support the following night, September 14th, 1982. She was just 52 years old.
The period immediately following the crash was marked by some confusion, particularly regarding the cause of the vehicle going off the road. It's important to clarify the official findings that emerged from the investigation.
Initially, the Palace Press Office released a statement attributing the accident to brake failure. However, both a local police investigation and a subsequent inspection by rover engineers from Britain found no evidence whatsoever of mechanical malfunction or brake failure.
So the palace was prompted to retract that brake failure claim a few days later.
They were. The crucial technical finding provided by the motor engineers related to the vehicle's operation on those steep gradients. The Rover P6 3500 was a powerful car, and the Princess was found to have been driving in standard drive mode during the steep descent.
And the car was equipped with a specialized mountain safety gear.
A gear designed specifically for sharp gradients and twisting mountain roads, which would have automatically slowed the descent through engine braking. Driving in standard mode would require constant, heavy use of the brakes, which would be very difficult on such treacherous terrain.
So the official determination became clear. The crash was initiated by a catastrophic medical event, the cerebral hemorrhage, which led to the subsequent loss of control.
Her funeral was a global affair, held 4 days later at the Cathedral of Our Lady Immaculate in Monacoville.
The attendees reflected her immense stature. Figures like Cary Grant and Diana, Princess of Wales, traveled to Monaco to pay their respects.
Notably, Princess Stephanie couldn't attend due to her injuries. She had suffered a light concussion and a hairline fracture of a cervical vertebra. It just highlights the deeply personal pain experienced by the family alongside the global outpouring of grief.
Prince Rainier, mourning the loss of his wife and partner, never remarried. And when he passed away in 2005, he was buried beside her.
Her memory, however, is not just preserved in the physical graves, but in the foundations and the organizations she created. We have her own words on how she wished to be remembered.
As someone who accomplished useful deeds and who was a kind and loving person.
That legacy is actively maintained. In 1984, the Princess Grace Foundation USA was established by Rainier to continue her anonymous work of assisting emerging theater, dance, and film artists in America.
Operating in the spirit of supporting new talent, just as she struggled to find her footing decades earlier.
To date, this foundation has awarded over $15 million. And her original global humanitarian organization, Amade Mondiale, continues its crucial work, spearheaded today by her children, Princess Caroline and Prince Albert.
She is physically commemorated across Monaco, too. The Princess Grace Rose Garden, the Princess Grace Irish Library.
And there's Avenue Princess Grace in Monaco, which is famously known as one of the most expensive streets in the world. Her presence is just inseparable from the identity of the principality.
So when we look back at her entire journey, a Philadelphia society girl, born of immense self-made American wealth, yet carrying a distant thread of European nobility.
Whose personal drive led her to Hollywood royalty and an Oscar, only to choose a life of actual royalty dedicated to global humanitarian causes. It's a narrative arc that really challenges the very definition of success.
It forces us to ask whether her greatest achievement was winning the Oscar or successfully transforming the role of princess consort into one of active global service and cultural advocacy.
She navigated two intensely demanding worlds, the hyper-scrutinized fame of Hollywood and the rigid protocol of European royalty, and she succeeded in both.
As you contemplate her life and legacy, consider this. What are the profound cultural implications of the moment the public rejected her return to acting in the 1960s, forcing her to abandon the lead role in Marnie?
Hmm.
And how does that public demand for her to remain a pristine, almost untouchable symbol of the monarchy contrast with the far different, often highly transactional expectations placed on contemporary celebrity royals today?
It raises the question of whether a royal figure, in the modern era, is ever truly allowed to retain control over their own artistic identity once they become a national symbol.
That is a critical point of comparison. The standard of perfection placed upon her seems almost impossible to maintain today, where authenticity and transparency are often prioritized over the cool, distant elegance she embodied.
Thanks for listening.